They were the most feared weapons of World War II. German panzers, unstoppable, invincible, until they met their greatest enemy. Not the Allies, not Soviet tanks, but winter. This is why the best tanks in the world froze to death. 1941, Operation Barbarossa. German tanks rolled into the Soviet Union, crushing everything in their path. Panzer V's, Tigers, Panthers, the best engineered tanks on Earth. They advanced hundreds of miles. Moscow was in sight. Victory seemed certain. Then November came, winter arrived, and the tanks stopped moving. Engines froze, tracks broke, fuel turned to jelly. The unstoppable German war machine, destroyed by cold. This is the story of Germany's greatest engineering failure, and how winter won the war. Hitler believed the Soviet Union would collapse in weeks. "Kick in the door," he said, "and the whole rotten structure will fall." So German tanks were prepared for summer warfare, light uniforms for crews, no winter equipment, no antifreeze. Why? Because they didn't think they'd need it. The war would be over before winter. They were catastrophically wrong. November 1941, temperatures dropped, -20 degrees, then -30, then -40. German tanks weren't designed for this. Their engines used standard motor oil. At those temperatures, it turned into sludge. Tanks wouldn't start. Soldiers had to light fires under the engines just to warm the oil enough to move, but that took hours and made them sitting targets. Soviet tanks? They used different oil, designed for Siberian winters. They started in minutes. The Germans were outmatched, not by firepower, but by winter preparation. The cold destroyed everything, not just engines, everything. Tank tracks, made of metal, became brittle in extreme cold. They cracked, shattered. Tanks were immobilized. Soviet tanks used wider tracks, better weight distribution, didn't sink in snow, didn't break as easily. Fuel lines froze. Diesel turned to gel at -30 degrees. Tanks ran out of fuel, even with full tanks. Hydraulics failed. Gun turrets wouldn't rotate. Soldiers had to turn them manually. Slow, exhausting. Ammunition froze, shell casings expanded, got stuck in breaches, guns jammed. Even the crews suffered. Tank interiors weren't heated. Metal conducts cold. Touching the tank walls with bare skin. Instant frostbite. Soldiers wrapped themselves in blankets, wore multiple layers, but it wasn't enough. Frostbite killed more tank crews than combat. And the Soviets, they knew how to fight in winter. They'd done it for centuries. December 1941, the Battle of Moscow. German tanks stalled 20 miles from the Kremlin. Not because of Soviet defenses, because they couldn't move. Hitler ordered them to keep advancing. But tanks don't work on willpower. The Soviets counterattacked with T-34 tanks, designed for winter, wide tracks, diesel engines that worked in cold, sloped armor. They tore through frozen German positions for the first time. The German army retreated. By 1942, Germany tried to adapt. They developed winter equipment, better oils, heaters for tanks, but it was too late. The damage was done. The myth of invincibility shattered, and the tanks kept breaking, even with improvements, because the Eastern Front was too big, too cold, too brutal. The Soviets had an advantage Germany couldn't overcome. They lived there. They understood winter. And winter doesn't negotiate German tanks. The most advanced in the world, defeated by temperature, not Soviet guns, not Allied bombs, but cold, ice, snow. It's a harsh lesson. Technology means nothing if you don't account for the environment. Hitler's arrogance cost him. He underestimated Russia, underestimated winter, thought superior engineering could overcome nature. He was wrong. By 1943, German tanks were still breaking down, still freezing, still losing. And by 1945, Soviet tanks were in Berlin. Sometimes the greatest enemy isn't an army, it's the weather. Let me know your thoughts. And subscribe for more brutal lessons from World War II, because history's greatest defeats come from the smallest mistakes.